Hey Space Sailors, welcome to the crew. I'm Sea Lord Janda, and this is my Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper. We are now on the verge of stopping the Shadow Protocol and Flux that has attacked the Eye, and we are very shortly going to be executing the final plan and ending the game. Feed the cat. Everything we currently have we will easily finish before the timer runs out. It's just a question of what else there might be. Eat some fungus, and let's go. You expertly strip wires and components from the Axis walls as you dismantle them. Crews are impressed. You managed to convince two rival crews to work together, refitting their ships. Both benefit from the other's expertise. Okay. One more cycle and we'll be done with that. We are halfway on the timer. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I can't think it's that bad. We're a basically max character, and we've spent literally our entire time since we triggered it on this, so I really can't think we're in bad shape here. Find it exceptionally hard to believe, anyway. Feed the cat. And done. Partially dismantled Axis floats in the flotilla. You hope it'll be enough. The docking Axis is little more than a shell. Everything that could have been pulled from its interior, every arm not used for docking, has been cut away. What remains is a Spartan void with a patchwork of flooring that allows movement. Piles of unusable material are tucked away in corners, but almost everything else has been cleared out. You haven't seen Peter since you last spoke, and now you're realizing that you probably never will. There are plans to be made, escapes to plot, the Shadow of Hearth to escape. When the cycle of the flotilla leaves, these ships will disperse, too, the moons of embers spinning out on different orbits. The chaos has become a quiet diligence now, as the time for departure is so near. Crews cross the Axis from ship to ship at speed, bringing supplies or advice, perhaps meeting up to discuss travel vectors in hushed tones, or to debate why they haven't left yet and whether they should. Among these Singer crews, recognizable for their specialist clothing and often shorn heads, you see the occasional refugee, a paying passenger, or replacement engineer or pilot, perhaps, come from the Eye to seek fortune with the Singers. Most of the crews have 2 or 3 of these editions, some more, and you can't help but wish that whatever reason brings them to throw their lot in with the Singer crews, they will have safe passage. You feel a strange attachment to these citizens of the Eye, setting out for the first time. And then one of them catches your eye, crossing the Axis with the crew, carrying a large bag and a nervous look. Tala. You freeze for a second. What is she doing here? She glances around, feeling your eyes on her, and catches your eye. Her face brightens immediately. Sleeper! Tala mutters something to her crew and rushes over, dumping the large bag at your feet and embracing you without thinking. Good to see you, Tala. She pulls back. And you. She smiles, but then it quickly fades as she realizes the context in which you're meeting. She sheepishly glances at her bag. Sleeper. She pauses. She pauses again, holding her arms defensively. I'm going to the starboard belt. She waits for your response nervously. Why didn't you say? She sighs. Do you remember me mentioning my family, Sleeper? My brother? You think back to your gear old blurred conversations in the back of the Bantean. He came here with me, with my family when we were little, just after we left Sinza. She bites her lip. He left when we were both teenagers, jumped on some spacer crew heading to the starboard belt. She sighs. I'm an idiot. She shakes her head. And I'm going after him. She looks down, not sure what to add. Makes sense, Tala. She looks at you. It does? She laughs nervously. I'm not so sure anymore. I really don't know if it makes sense or if it's the right thing, but ever since I heard that was where the refugee flotilla was going, well, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And what happens to the bar? Someone will have to run it. She leaves a long pause. I mean, I can ask Francis. He'd be happy to, or one of the others, she blurts out. And of course, if you're leaving with the flotilla or someone else, it'd be totally okay. You wouldn't need to say yes. It's no pressure. It's fine, whichever way. I was just thinking. Sure, I could run the bar. I'm a multiple business owner now. Tala nods, smiling. I think so. I mean, you can take a second, but, she glances at the crew she was walking with, who were chatting a little way away. There's not exactly much time. So, considering that, she grabs the key hanging around her neck, the key to the Bantean. Do you want to do it? Yeah, sure. Tala leaps forward and embraces you again. Thank you, Sleeper. I couldn't be leaving it in better hands. She pulls the key from around her neck and places it around yours as if presenting a medal. Remember to lock up, especially the back. And remember to empty the still if you're leaving things closed for a few cycles. And she stops herself. I won't be gone forever, of course. She blinks away a tear. I can come back and check in. Maybe once I find my brother. She pauses, unable to finish that thought. She smiles at you, and you can see the weight lifting off her shoulders, her eyes already drifting towards the crew, the ship, the next big thing. She's ready. I better be going, she nods to the crew nearby. Not a good start to keep my guys waiting. She lifts the bag onto her shoulder. She looks down the curve of the eye towards the overlook. Thanks again, Sleeper, for everything you helped me with. She nods. I wouldn't have been able to leave if I hadn't made things work here. She adjusts the bag. Dad wouldn't have let me. And goodbye, Tala. She sniffs. Goodbye, Sleeper. And Tala turns, heading back to the crew who will carry her to the starboard belt. You watch her go, and despite the departure, it's hard to feel sad about Tala. You know her energy will carry her forward, and you hope her brother's somewhere on that bright path. You hold the key in your hand, the metal still a little warm from Tala's body. You turn it over in your fingers, thinking about how it feels like a tool and a burden. You can still lock up and leave, you figure, but now that will feel like breaking something fragile. And if you stay, well, who knows what this little metal promise might grow into. Yeah, I own 2 businesses now, so apparently we're staying. Okay, I'm literally out of things to do. Yeah. Pink, I'm literally out of things to do, and there's like 5 days to spare. Can we connect the ships? Well, I guess I might as well, I don't know, use these for some hacks or something? I don't really... have anything better to do with them, but I can't actually even match the inputs. These are too good of die. I'm pretty sure there's still nothing to hack over here. There's nothing hackable in the refugee flotilla, is there? No. Well, it feels real weird to I guess I can use these to harvest more. Yeah. That's what I can do. Okay. Okay. Let's take some stabilizer. Might as well be at our best for the end here. Okay, feed the cat. Eat some fungus. Well, where the hell is, what am I supposed to do now? I mean, my preparations are finished, so I don't have anything to do now. Not wrong, am I? I mean, I'm just gonna cycle the garden out of a total lack of anything else to do, but... Pull him past his favorite customer. Well, I'm missing something on the hub again, am I? I do that sometimes. No. There's just, well, my bay now. Lounge. Sleeping birds, which are really expensive. Oh. Why did this trigger before I was actually done hacking it? What the hell? Discovered a path to the core of the facility. Time to seek Gardner's final spores. Did something like... You connect to a terminal and download reams of data afterwards. Peak tells you've been out for hours. Did something like actually glitch here? Was I not supposed to get that cutscene until after I had... finished that? What the hell was that? I think honestly the answer is yes. I think something glitched out there. I don't know what that was about. But still nothing new has like appeared over here. I don't know if something's wrong or what. Guess I'll sleep on it another cycle. Big slick chirps in your pocket. You take it out. A message. The connection is ready. Meet me at the Founders Gap, Greenway side. Peek. You clench your jaw. It's time. Okay. I think something was a little glitched with that. Like, I think I shouldn't have gotten that whole core cutscene until after I actually finished that last one. But, in any case, we're ready. Let's do this. You find Pink waiting near where you first met, at the entrance to the docking tunnel for the Founders Ferry. They're leaning beside the wall in the flickering light, and you realize now how different they look from when you first met. There's a darkness around their eyes, a sense of exhaustion to their pose, but also a solidity, a sense of purpose and self-knowledge. They look concrete, for want of a better word. Solid. Sleeper. They spot you and a small smile crosses their face. Glad you came. Well, I wouldn't be anywhere else. The smile grows. Crunch time. They shake their head in disbelief. Let's go. The break in the connection is up ahead. They walk away from the docking tunnel into a ragged, half-crushed corridor that descends into darkness. They poke their slate and a torch flicks on, lighting the way ahead. As you descend through the layers of the broken edge of the eye, Peak talks, filling the silence. I had to hunt all over this part of the eye to find the point where the connection was broken. They run a hand along the buckled metal of the wall, stooping under the angled ceiling. This hole, the gap, got knocked in the eye when Solheim collapsed. It's impossible to tell who did it, but my guess is they tried to scuttle the eye. If Solheim couldn't keep hold of their fancy new station, well, no one could. Peak ducks through a fractured passageway with hanging wires like vines. So this place has always been on borrowed time. I've managed to weave together the old connections and run a new patch down to where the main line still runs through the remaining ribs of the rim. They smile. Just like keeping those old XPR platforms running. Ash would be proud, if she'd bothered to help. As Peak goes quiet, the corridor opens out into a wider, twisted passage with compartments on either side, thick with wiring. Here, this is the connection point. You can see where Peak has levered off a panel and hooked up a thick cable to the existing hardware. As thick as a tree trunk, it snakes off into the dark ahead, its yellow rings making it look like some huge and exotic serpent. What now? Now, we make the connection. Peak pauses. You both stand there, staring at the point where the new cable meets the old one. The ends separate, fitted with multi-pin male and female connectors, and braced inside a metal framework with a scissoring mechanism. Bring them together, seal them, and the greenway will be connected to the rest of the eye for the first time in decades. Peak shifts their weight into one hip, pushing their hair out of their eyes. I feel like this should be more momentous, like there should be some ritual or ceremony. They pause. Or someone should stop us from doing this crazy thing. It's not crazy. Peak nods. I mean, I'm not being funny, Sleeper, but this whole thing is crazy to me. Peak shakes their head. Leaving Hawthorne with Ash, joining the flotilla, coming here, meeting you, the Flux, the Shadow, everything. They laugh a hollow laugh. So I suppose this is at least consistent with all that. They take a deep breath. Okay. They look at you with mild panic. They hold both sides of the supporting framework, ready to scissor it closed. Here we go. Peak wrenches the framework closed, and the connectors thunk together with a sound that echoes down the ruined corridor into the dark on both sides. Both you and Peak wait with bated breath, unsure what it is you're waiting for. You expect the eye to suddenly stop spinning or lurch on its axis, for the power to go out, or a shockwave to run through the corridors of the rim. You meet Peak's eyes, and suddenly they burst out laughing. What are we waiting for? They put a hand to their forehead. I feel like we just planted a tree and are expecting it to burst out of the ground. They shake their head. But you feel it. You feel it flowing like a stream that's been released from a cave and rushes out into the sunlight, crystalline and clear. You swear you can hear it running in the wires, like water, like rain, like steam. It doesn't roar or rattle, but it rustles and writhes there like liquid roots. Peak sees the look in your eyes and stops laughing. You can see it, can't you? You can't see it, not with your eyes at least, but it is everywhere, and now it is out. It can't be put back. That much is clear. You imagine the rim of the eye like a sponge, like soil, soaking up the gardener and their chorus, the gaps filling with a burbling, constant, growing life. Peak stares at you, waiting for something. Anything. Gardener is free. Peak nods slowly and closes their eyes. They go to speak, but the words fail them. Suddenly, Peak's slate chirps. They jump and scramble for it, almost dropping it in the process, but when they stare at it, a look of confusion crosses their face. What happened? Peak's mouth falls open. It's Ash, they swallow. She's leaving. They look at you with panic. Before you can speak, they've turned away and are moving back up the passageway, back towards the entrance. Peak! They don't turn, don't respond, and you watch their silhouette, lit by their slate's torch, disappear rapidly around a corner. You take out the slate gave you and turn on the torch. The wires all around look like pale roots in the harsh light, and you turn away from them. They're gardeners now. You work your way back through the corridors, retracing your steps. You imagine Peak, panicked, running towards the cordon, realizing that their greatest fear is to come to pass. You wonder if they'll be able to persuade Ash to stay. If Ash is going, you think, then the flotilla must be leaving too. The thought makes you shiver in the darkness, and you push it away. You're not ready. You focus on avoiding the hanging wires, the low ceilings, and make your way back out into the lit corridors of the Founder's Ferry dock. Castor is waiting for you. Oh, what's up, Castor? You're gonna try to kill me, but I ruined your plan. He holds up his hands. Now, Sleeper. No need to fear. He raises his eyebrows. I understand now. It was my mistake to try to force you. A miscalculation. What are you doing here, then? Good. The questions are good. He pushes his glasses up his nose. I'm more than happy to answer any you may have. I won't hold you here, Sleeper. Castor stands to the side. But I wish to speak. Sure. You stop, giving Castor his opportunity. Castor nods. At first I thought that, if you'll excuse the turn of phrase, taking possession of your particular talents was the opportunity. He smiles a broad smile. But you're more than that, and I understand that now. Your arrival on this station, your ability to touch the networks, makes you the very definition of a wild card. He touches the rim of his glasses. Senate stats analysis, my analysis, we could never have accounted for you. This system, the Helion system, is about to experience a significant change. About to open up the Senate stats bailiffs, Conway's claimants, and every industry and element an active can channel brings. Yet this very cycle you let another wild card free. Gardner. I have to admit this development makes me afraid, Sleeper. It makes me afraid what an intelligence like this will sacrifice to protect itself, or what atrocities it might commit through madness. And yet, Castor's eyes glint, what a compelling object such an intelligence is. Let me protect you, mark you out. Keep Senatstat from eliminating by force or legal expediency you as they will with every other squatter on this ring. Castor clasps their hands together, and in exchange, when Senatstat comes for this place, you facilitate the handover. You calm the protocols, and you give us the Gardener. Go fuck yourself, Castor. Castor takes off their glasses and polishes them. Disappointing. You begin to leave. As you approach, she speaks quietly, in an urgent whisper. I do not wish to see you lost. You are of great value if you ever want to see that realized. You push past him, ignoring him, and his voice fades. The last you see of him is his slow nod, perhaps a mark of resignation, or just another deferential gesture aimed at manipulating your response. Doesn't matter either way, you're done with him. You head towards the cordon, Peak and the flotilla in the forefront of your mind. You arrive into chaos at the cordon. The final shuttles are leaving the ramshackle docks that have formed along the edge of the gap during the flotilla's stay. As they do, groups of evacuees push on board, hoping to be among the final people to escape from the Eye. The fear created by the flux vent became a series of rumors, and those rumors have driven many out of their homes. Others have staunchly doubled down on their position on the Eye, refusing to accept any gossip of a second collapse. You are unsure what you think. Is the collapse a certainty? Will Peak's actions this cycle have changed anything at all? You're tired of these questions and instead set out to look for your friends. You quickly spot Peak and Esh at the far side of the chaotic bay. You quickly make your way through the crowds, slipping between the gaps and the rushing evacuees, stepping over bags and luggage. Progress is slow, but as you approach you can hear their voices over the crowd. You try to push closer, but there are many evacuees gathered around them and their shuttle. You have made your decision, Peak, and it puts you against me. Esh is standing with one foot on the boarding ramp while Peak argues with her. Evacuees are eyeing them, eager to intervene, but intimidated by Esh's evident strength and attitude. Esh, it doesn't have to be like this. Peak looks desperate, tear tracks already on their cheeks. We can find a way. Esh shakes her head. I've always protected you, Peak. I've taken you under my wing, but I understand that you're not mine to control, and you've chosen to be here and not with me despite everything. I have chosen to stop running, Peak cries out in frustration. You can choose to stop living too. We can stay here and try to live. Don't you remember what it feels like to live, Esh? Esh turns away. I remember what it was like to live on Hawthorne, what it was like to be worried for your safety every cycle, to live under the control of my mother, of the administration, to work and to maintain some things that no one wanted, no one needed, so that our corporation could maintain a foothold in this system. You talk as if this place and the very same system is any different. What is there here but the same grind for other masters, for employers, administrators, for those who gain from our struggles? There may not be a corporation controlling the Eye, but there is control. There is power in action here. So what then? Peak shouts. You run from anyone or everyone who could ever be close to you in search of freedom? In search of some perfect place where no one has power over you? Peak is crying openly now. I want to be part of something, Esh, even if it is broken and suffering, even if it cannot be free. Esh pauses and takes a deep breath. She nods, her eyes closed. This isn't Hawthorne anymore. We aren't tied by our childhood or by our shared need to escape. We're both just people in this system. She opens her eyes. I release you, Peak. You're free of me. Esh, please. They hold out a hand. There's a life here if you want it. Esh turns and smiles at Peak, her eyes wet now too. Then you live it for me, Peak. I can't. She climbs up the boarding ramp, the evacuees taking their chance to climb on board too. You watch as the shuttle closes its ramp, lifts off, and leaves the bay. The crowds are dispersing now as they get onto the shuttles or say their goodbyes and move back into the main part of the cordon. You push past the last of them to reach Peak. Peak doesn't turn as you come closer. Sleeper. Esh is gone. She made her choice. Peak nods. I've known her my whole life. They wipe their face. But since we arrived, we've been going different directions. They turn to face you. I'll miss the Briar, but she'll serve Esh well, I know that. Sleeper! The shout takes you by surprise, and as you turn, you see Soul coming across the bay towards you, the last two shuttles loading up behind him. He reaches you, his suit hissing as he does. Can't believe you'd make an old man run across this bay to get you. He pauses to take a breath. The singers have gone. They left at the start of the cycle. They broke away from the flotilla. You smile as you think of Tala, safely cradled within one of those singer ships on her way to the starboard belt and hopefully a reunion with her brother. Godspeed, Tala. What are you smiling at? Sol interrupts your thoughts. They forced our hand. We have to leave now. Sol shakes his head. If we follow close enough behind, maybe they'll end up being our scouts anyway. I reckon any hostile spacers out there will give them a wide berth. Pilgrim's Seed will need a little time to make our way out of the cordon, but I'm heading back now to get her started. Thankfully, the step ships are sticking with us, so we'll be plenty well supplied for the journey to the belt. He pauses. Anyway, I didn't plot all the way over here to tell you that. Sol looks between you and Peak with a raised eyebrow. It's now or never, Sleeper. I'm good to my word, and I kept a berth for you, but this is your last chance to take it. He scratches at his beard. Make a call. You glance out at the flotilla beyond the bay, beautiful in the light of hitting on sun. You think of the long journey to the starboard belt, of the people inside the Pilgrim Seed, of the possible futures that await. Then you think of the people here on the Eye, of Peak beside you, of the Bantayan, of Tala, and the key that still hangs around your neck, of promises and possibilities. I'm staying, man. You open your mouth to speak and realize this is the final time you'll make this choice. You have to be sure. I stay. You say the words, and the moment you do, the weight of it all seems to descend on you. You stumble a little and then stand straight, refusing to be crushed. You feel a tightness in your chest and a haze blurring your thoughts. Sol nods. Good luck, he sighs. You'll need it. He grips your shoulder and meets your eye, and the haze his pitted and rough hand feels so real, so detailed, that it grounds you. Then it's gone, and Sol goes with it, quickly moving to the waiting shuttle. As he does, you watch, unable to speak, your whole body pulsing. And then another hand falls on your shoulder, and it grounds you once more, too. You turn to see Peak's bright eyes. Let's go, Sleeper. You nod, and seeing how unsteady you are on your feet, Peak puts an arm around you and steers you towards the entrance to the bay. As they do, you hear the roar, feel the wind as the shuttle lifts off and angles toward the flotilla. You don't turn. Instead, you keep your head down and focus on each step. As you do, you feel Peak beside you, holding a little of your weight, and you holding a little of theirs. This is how it'll be for many cycles after you both leave the bay and head back into the Eye. You both hold things for each other, remind each other of the choices you made, remind each other why it's important to keep going despite the moments when it seems impossible. You'll keep each other going. That support will be vital when the second flux event hits the Eye. When it knocks the entire free spoke off the power grid, making the whole station lurch with a sickening motion. When it cripples systems and corrupts processes, leading sections of the station to go dark or start venting oxygen. Well, holding on is all you can do while the world seems to come apart around you. And yet somehow the Eye will persist. Systems will resist total collapse in ways that will seem inexplicable to many, but to you and Peak, they will signal the awakening of a new force within the station. That new force will bring with it new challenges and new possibilities in equal measure. Strange growths will be reported all around the station in the wake of the flux event, fungal crusts pushing through pipes and wiring. The Eye will go wild and fecund, becoming a station of increasing unpredictability, prone to a seasonal rhythm of spore clouds and sudden growth spurts. There will be a strange and unsettling beauty to this paradigm shift as the greening of the station. Is this like the first time I've seen the full Eye in one image? Turns it from a corporate ruin to some altogether new assemblage of biological and mechanical structures. Riko will take on this challenge with energy that seems impossible for her age, and until her final day she will delight in the new mysteries the Eye and its gardener produce. And as this new era consolidates around the station, you will find yourself in the Bantayan most cycles, working to keep the place alive. The cycle where you invite Emphas to come make use of the kitchen will go from a one-off event to a regular occurrence. And soon the Bantayan will be filled with spacers eager to try the best preparations of the station's now abundant mushrooms. And on occasion, after a long shift at the Bantayan, you will hear the sound of the stray meowing. You will crumble up some food and sit and watch the cat eat, as if it's the only thing in your world that matters. However, into all this newness, the bad old ways will still intrude. Senate Stat, frustrated by the Eye's resilience, will begin to send more physical threats, and supply ships and traders will suddenly stop arriving, stopped by a blockade of corporate militia. Life on the Eye will be punctuated by wide-channel broadcasts from Senate Stat, stating legal precedents and quoting deeds of ownership, staking a claim on the system. Meanwhile, Havenage's hardliners will fizzle out, losing their grip on the Havenage Council. In their wake, Helene will spearhead a series of reforms that will scale back Havenage's overreach, or returning them to the caretaker role they had always intended to fulfill. As the cycles roll on and the threats gather, new broadcasts will join them, sent by Conway extractions making counterclaims on assets within the Helion system, and many on the Eye will grow quiet, losing their appetite for debating these political machinations as they tilt inexorably towards a corporate war. And ever on, the Eye will spin, growing now in strange ways, haunted by strange new growths and hosting cultures of increasing resilience. As the Helion system descends into crisis, you will find comfort in the fungal patterns, the familiar conversations, the spices and the smells that will accumulate around you as your body continues its unavoidable decay. They settle around you like a veil, and in time it will be impossible to see the Eye without seeing its many variants and versions, pasts and potential futures, and this masking of the world will mark your approaching end. And one cycle, far from now, that accumulation of memories, of tastes, of people and places and moments, will be the last thing you let go of. But for now, there's only you and Peak, arms around each other, walking slowly out of the bay. Two figures born of crippled systems linked together, continuing despite your origins. And in this frozen moment, you focus on only the next step, because that is the only way you've learned to persist. And to persist is to believe that a future, any future at all, is possible. Well, that was... honestly, that was beautiful. And that, I think, really actually is the end of Citizen Sleeper. This, honestly, I would probably give this a 10 out of 10. Like, comparing to Disco Elysium that we just played, similar in many ways, but I felt the game mechanics here actually worked a lot better. I was sort of unable to prevent myself from reloading when anything went wrong in Disco Elysium, but that wasn't really a problem here because of how their save slots worked, so saving me from them myself. Plus, I didn't really feel tempted to, even if it had been, mostly. Ultimately, it was a much more uplifting story, and I liked that, really. A really, really, really good game. Very well written. Extremely good script. Very simple but excellent gameplay mechanics. Really, I would heartily recommend Citizen Sleeper to pretty much anyone, I think. And I do hope all of you enjoyed it. And thank you all for watching. This is Seedlord Janda, signing off.